Hey, what is going on, everyone? This is Mohammed, your personal PMP coach from Certify with Ease, helping you get PMP certified without reading a single page from a textbook, without taking a 35-hour Udemy course, or without taking those expensive 10-hour a day PMP boot camps. Okay, so the topic of this video today is about PMP hacks or shortcuts. Now, the PMP exam is a timed exam. If you can save on a couple of seconds per question, it's going to help you a lot at the end of the day. A lot of people are finishing the exam right on the dot, which is very dangerous. A lot of people are not even finishing the exam on time. They're missing out on a lot of questions. You want to finish the exam comfortably as early as possible, and these hacks/shortcuts will help you. Okay, so I got a bunch of questions ready that really put these hacks and shortcuts into action. So we're going to see all of these things right now. All right, let's jump into these questions, and I'll show you my methodology actually while we're doing the question together. Okay, so the first topic that we want to focus on is change management. Now, this is a shortcut. Anytime, now note this down in your notebooks, note this down on your laptops, whatever it may be, on your phone. Anytime there's a change that can potentially affect the scope, that can affect the budget or the schedule, you need to request a change. In other words, you need to put in a change request. You need to perform the integrated change control process. Okay, let's look at that. That's a short hack for you. Okay, number one, you are managing a software development project, and during the testing phase, a major defect is discovered in the core functionality. The defect was not identified during the design phase and now poses a significant risk to the project schedule. The client is unaware of this issue, but the project team believes that fixing the defect will require substantial rework, potentially delaying the project by 2 weeks. What should the project manager do first? Okay. Now, forget about what the project manager should do first. What should you do as a test taker? You should read the question with purpose. So identify the problem statement. That's our first step. First step is to identify what the actual problem is. I don't care that we're dealing with a software development project. I don't care that, we're at the testing phase necessarily. I don't care that it's a core functionality. All I need to understand is that there's a defect that's going to pose a significant risk to the project schedule. The client is unaware of this, and the team believes that working on this defect is going to require substantial rework, delaying the project by 2 weeks. Okay, in other words, there's this defect that's going to affect the project schedule, but if we focus on it, it's going to delay the project by 2 weeks. What should we do as a project manager first? Okay, now let's go back. All right, number one, anytime the question mentions first or next, this is a hack. Many of the answers can make sense, but look for the answer that respects principle number one. We go back up to principle number one. Always discuss, investigate, analyze, ask before deciding on a solution. Meaning that you're going to collect information before actually taking action. Okay? That's your hack. Let's go back. So just from reading the answers, which answers do you think should be the right answer? You can pause this video and take a hit at it, take a chance. But I would say the best answer is going to be submit a change request to the CCB to adjust the project schedule and budget accordingly. Okay? Now let's look at the other options before we explain why the answer is D. Inform the client immediately about the defect and the potential delay to manage their expectations. Okay, that's not a bad solution. The client is unaware. The client is your end customer. We should be able to tell the client everything. Tell the client about everything to manage their expectations. All right. Convene a meeting with the project team to analyze the defect, assess the impact on the project, and develop possible solutions. Okay. Now, this is a very, very good solution as well. This is the project manager taking a step back, collecting all the information, and assessing the impact, and then moving forward. This is principle number one in action. Nothing wrong with that. Update the risk register to include the defect and its potential impact on the project schedule. All right, that's good too. We got a potential risk. The schedule is going to be delayed. Let's put it in the risk register. Now, I purposely chose this problem, which was done by ChatGPT, right? It wasn't, I didn't make it up, but I asked ChatGPT to give me a hard problem. What should the answer be? Now, remember, we're looking for principle number 1. We got D that respects principle number 1. We got C that respects principle number 1 because we are looking at the potential impact we are assessing. B respects principle number 1 as well. Which one should it be? This is where we use our change management skills. This is hack number 1. Anytime there is a change that affects the project schedule, the budget, or the scope, you want to implement a change request. D is going to be your answer. Okay? Your exam questions are not going to be this difficult. They're not going to be this difficult, but if you get used to these difficult questions, you will pass the exam. That's just a fact. Now your question is, but Mohammed, all the other answers, they seem nice. Why do we need to, how does D respect principle number 1? I thought we need to take a step back, and before we actually submit the change request, we should gather all the information. Well, I'll respond with, the change request process includes everything. What is the change of control process? Number 1, the stakeholder, in this case, it could be the PM or one of the team members, submits a formal change request. Number 2, the PM looks at the change request, assesses the change request now, investigates, gather all the information that is required, takes that, and then gives it to the CCB. Now, the CCB is a board of, let's say, directors. They discuss with all the information that they have at their disposal, and then they decide that, we are going to reject or approve this change, and then the change is communicated and executed upon. Okay? So in other words, this change control process includes principle number 1, which is the PM taking a step back before deciding on a solution. Okay? Very important. That is all that you need to know for change management when it comes to the PMP exam. Again, I'm going to repeat this. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I'm going to repeat this because it's so important. Anytime there's a change that affects the project scope, the budget, the schedule, it needs to go through a change request. In contrary, if there's a change, let's say the director comes up to you and he says, hey, can you change the report font to size 15? It's a bit too small. Because that change does not affect the scope, the budget, the schedule, it does not require a change control process. Okay? Let's move on to another question to really drill this point through. All right? This is a long question. On your exam, you're not gonna get these long questions. I just asked ChatGPT to give me some hard questions. So I guess their version of hard is long. All right? You know what? Let's do something interesting. Let's just dive into the answers. Let's see if we can figure out the answer. Okay? You guys can read the question on your own. So what should the project manager do first? Okay, keyword first. Okay? That's our hack. Anytime the question mentions first or next, we need to look for principle number 1. Before deciding on an action, we need to gather enough information. Okay, fine. Now we understand that. All right. Escalate the issue to the project sponsor. No, we never escalate the issue to the project sponsor. This is principle number 8. It contradicts our principle number 8. Okay, so if you look at principle number 8 here, no running to sponsors. All right. Okay. Inform the client about the supplier delay and propose the alternative solution to keep the project on schedule despite the cost increase. Okay. Now this contradicts our principle number 2. We do not want to settle for extra costs immediately. That should not be the first answer that we choose. Let's move on. Conduct a detailed impact analysis with the project team, including evaluating the cost and schedule implication of both the delay and alternative solution. Okay, that's a very good answer. I like this answer. You're conducting a detailed impact analysis with the project team. Why with the project team? Because the project team are your experts. They're the ones that are actually doing the physical work. Okay, number 7, your team members are the experts, not you. Make every decision with them. You're a project manager. You're leading, you're managing, but they're the ones doing the actual work. Okay, it's a good answer. Reject the supplier's alternative solutions. We don't reject anything. We never reject, especially a client's request. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you guys this principle. It's so powerful, guys. These principles, I'm telling you, just learn with these principles. You'll be fine. Never immediately reject a request or an opportunity, especially from a client. Okay, so I already know the answer is going to be C. Now, what's so special about C, guys? What's so special about C is that C is similar to a change request. The answer does not mention change request, but it has all the components of a change request. You have a detailed impact analysis, which is gathering information. You're evaluating the costs. You're looking at the schedule. You're looking at any other solutions, and then you're going to decide. Okay, C is going to be our best answer in this case. Okay, so we got the answer without even reading the question. I'm telling you guys, this whole exam is easy peasy if you know what you're doing. I see a lot of people, especially on Reddit, going through months and months and months of studying. Man, I don't know how they do it, but congrats to them firstly. And it's just not worth it at the end of the day. Okay, now hack number 2: when a new piece of information is mentioned. Okay, now what does this mean? You might read a question, and in the answer, they might mention something that has not been mentioned in the question. When that happens, don't break your head. Just eliminate that answer. So let's read this problem together. Imagining an IT infrastructure upgrade project. During the implementation phase, a team member informs you that one of the servers being upgraded is experiencing intermittent failures. My apologies, guys. My English is not that great. This server is crucial for the project's success, and any downtime could impact the project schedule. The team member suggests that the issue might be due to outdated firmware, but they're not certain. The project is tight on schedule, and any delays could be costly. Okay, great. We have the keyword. What should the PM do first? Right. Anytime they mention first, you highlight it first. Okay, first, principle number 1. That should click in your brain right away. Escalate the issue. We never go to the project sponsor and escalate issues. We don't do that. This is a style the PMP likes to mention a lot. Escalate the issue to the project sponsor. We don't do that, especially not immediately, not first. Instruct the team to immediately roll back the upgrade on the server to prevent further failures and stabilize the situation. Okay. All right. So that's not the best solution right away. Because the team member suggests that the issue might be the outdated firmware, but they're not certain, right? It's not the best issue, not the best situation. But let's move on. Investigate the server failure by working with the IT team. So I already like the word investigate. To determine if the outdated firmware is the root cause and identify potential solutions. Very good. I love this solution a lot. And I'll explain why in a bit. Review lessons learned register from a similar project completed last year to find out how server. Okay, now this is a good example. How do we know that there's a similar project that has been completed? The question does not indicate anything. Because the answer mentions a piece of new information that has not been mentioned in the question, we eliminate that answer. This is gone. This is our small PMP hack in action. D is gone. C is going to be the answer. Why? Because we have principle number 1 in action. Investigate, so gather information, and we're going to use the root cause analysis. All right, root cause analysis is one of the most popular tools that the PMP likes to mention a lot. So this has 2 components in it. We're going to gather information and then look for the root cause and then identify potential solutions. Okay, C is going to be the best answer. All right, you know what? This is a similar question. You guys could try this question out yourself. And I'm not going to read the answer. I'm not going to read the question. I'm just going to jump straight into the answer. What should the project manager do first? Okay, we got the keyword first. And I'm focusing a lot on these problems, situation-based problems, because the majority, 80% of your exam is situation-based. Inform the client about the bug and discuss potential impacts on the project schedule to manage their expectations. Okay. Again, it's good to inform your client, but you don't want to do that first because you want to solve the situation and you don't want to freak out the client. Let's just put it on the side for now. Let's not eliminate it right away. There's probably a better solution. Conduct a root cause analysis. Okay, root cause analysis, our favorite word, with the development team to determine the severity of the bug and potential impact on the project timeline. Okay, very good. Conducting root cause analysis will give us enough information we need to take appropriate action. I like it. C, submit a change request. Okay. So I haven't read the question. I don't know if there's actually a change going on, but let's just see. To extend the project deadline to accommodate the time needed to fix the bug. All right, let's just keep this for now. We probably have to go back and read the question now. Review the defect logs from a similar project completed by another team to see if this bug has encountered before and how it was resolved. Okay, now this would make sense, or this would be a really good solution if there was a similar project that has been completed in the past. Let's read the question now very quickly. You are managing a large-scale software development project. Okay, the project is in testing phase and your team has just identified a critical bug that affects the core functionality of the software. This bug was not detected earlier in the development process, and fixing it could require significant rework. The sponsor has emphasized the importance of maintaining the project schedule as the client has. Okay. Project sponsor has emphasized the importance of maintaining the project schedule as the client has a hard deadline for the software's launch. However, the team is concerned that fixing the bug might push the project past the deadline. Okay, very good. Now we know what's going on. So what do you think the answer should be here? So D is clearly not the answer because we don't know. They mention a piece of information, sorry, that has not been mentioned. We can eliminate that. I'm not going to go with A. I'm going to eliminate it. We have B or C now. Are we submitting a change request? In other words, do we even know what to change? We don't. We simply don't know what to change. We don't know what to change. We don't even know what the problem is. We know there's a bug. The best solution is going to be conducting a root cause analysis and then looking at the severity of the bug and the impact. Once we have an idea of what the root problem is, then that's when we submit that change request to solve that root problem. The best answer here is going to be B. I like this question a lot because a lot of people, when they see CCB or change control process, they immediately jump to it. Okay, so don't do what I'm doing right now, which is skipping on reading the question. Obviously, read the question on your exam, but the best two answers are going to be B and C. If you reprioritize them, or if you prioritize them, B is going to be a better answer. All right? All right, let's move on to the last bit, the last hack that I want to share with you guys. I'm sorry, guys. This videos make my throat so dry. So because of that, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel. Again, we're starting this together, this journey together. So I would really appreciate it. And the channel is growing thanks to you guys. So thank you so much. We're gonna have, when we reach a certain amount, we're gonna have a lot of fancy edits and all that kind of stuff. But the quality will always remain the best that I can produce. All right. So when the answer mentioned only, now only is one of those words that eliminates all the other possibilities. And this is a general trick for multiple choice questions. When the answer mentions an answer that eliminates all other possibilities, eliminate that answer, because the chances of that answer being correct are very slim, right? So think about this. So let's just read this question. You are managing a construction project that is in execution. The project is progressing well, but the client has just requested a change to the design that would add a new feature to the building. This change would increase the project cost and extend the timeline by 2 weeks. The client insists this feature is essential and is willing to pay for the additional costs. However, your project sponsor has expressed concern about the timeline impact and prefers not to delay the project. The team is confident that they can complete the additional work if they get an extension. What should the project manager do first? So you have a whole situation going on here where this client wants to add something new to the project. It's going to increase the timeline and the cost. Client says, you know what, I'll pay for it, no problem. Sponsor's worried, and because of the timeline, and the team is like, you know what, we can do it. We can do it. Okay, if we get an extension, we can do it. What should the PM do first? Okay, approve the change request immediately since the client is willing to pay for the additional cost. No, we should always take a step back. We need to assess principle number 1. Reject the change request. We never reject a change request. Not immediately. That should not be the first thing we do. Submit the change request, okay, to the change control board for review and approval. Considering both the client's willingness to pay and the sponsor's concern about the timeline. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful solution. Submitting a change request encompasses everything. Encompasses the project manager collecting the appropriate information, giving it to the CCB, and the CCB analyzing the information. Okay? Inform the client that the project can only proceed with the change if the timeline is extended by 2 weeks. Okay, we got that keyword only now. So it can only proceed with the change if the timeline is extended by 2 weeks. Right? So let's just see. So do we this is actually 2 hacks in one. Have they indicated in the question that we need 2 weeks? Because project cost and extend the timeline by 2 weeks. Okay. Or maybe they did. Okay, my bad. I just read it right now. The project cost and extend the timeline by 2 weeks. So inform the client the project can only proceed with the change if the timeline is extended by 2 weeks. Okay, fine, whatever. But only we eliminate that because this answer basically implies that there's no other possibility. Okay? The best answer, because there's going to be a change request, the best answer is going to be C. Okay? This is different from the previous one that we looked at because there's a problem here. In this question, there's no problem. There's no bug. Right? It's just a simple change request. All right, let's move on to the last question of the session. You are managing a marketing campaign project for a major product launch. The project is in the execution phase, and you have just received a request from a key stakeholder to incorporate an additional advertising channel that was not included in the original scope. Okay, not included in the original scope. That means we're affecting the scope somehow. I'm going to lean towards change request just from the question, but let's just see what happens. Implementing this change would require reallocating resources and might impact the project timeline. Okay, affects the project schedule. Change request. The sponsor is supportive of the idea, but has asked you to carefully assess the impact before making any decisions. The team is already stretched thin, and any additional work could affect their ability to meet the current deadlines. Okay, so this question is very descriptive. You're not going to get a question that descriptive where they say that, you need to carefully assess. You have to assume that you have to assess. What should the project manager do next? If they mention first or next, same principle. We look for principle number 1. Implement the change immediately. We don't do that. We need to take a step back. Reject a change. We don't do that. We never reject a change request or any request. The last principle, principle 18. Evaluate the impact of the change on the project scope. That's the answer. Proceed with the change because it is the best way to ensure the success of marketing campaign. No, evaluate the impact of the change on the project scope, timeline, resources, and present the this analysis to the change control board for a decision. Okay? That's the answer. And on your exam, you're not going to get something so full, not so complete like this. They're going to simply say, submit a change request. Or perform, keyword, perform integrated change control process. Submit a change request or perform the integrated change control process. Or submit whatever to the CCB. You're going to get something like that. Okay, but they mean the same thing. Okay? So these are the 3 hacks that you can use on your exam. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And please share this video so you can help your fellow PMP aspiring colleagues to get certified. Okay?